dias. Woo. I got my tea. I'm gonna smash some garlic while we're waiting. Oh, got the AC on. Yeah, I don't want to be cooking and sweating. Buenos días, buenos días. Hola, hola, I'm here. Good morning. I'm chopping some garlic. Good morning, everybody. Janelle, hola. Hello. It's a beautiful morning in Panama City. I'm going to turn on. Or are you connecting? This is what I look at when I'm cooking, which is what I wanted when I got this apartment. All right. I know I'm a little bit spoiled, but I love it. I'm old. I deserve it. Silas Richardson, good morning. Got my herbal tea. Let's see, green tea, fresh ginger, mint, cinnamon stick, and some lime. I cut a couple of slices and squeeze it in. If you drink that every morning, you're starting your day right. It's kind of cleansing, right? How's everybody doing? Was anybody in the path of the hurricane? I live in Florida. I'm in Central Florida, outside of Orlando, and we got lucky because the pictures from Pinellas County, usually in the Tampa area, when they have a big storm, it floods. I don't know what it is about that place, but the pictures that I'm seeing are really bad. Asheville, North Carolina, Tennessee, they look really bad. The water, I mean, I'm telling you, it's really sad. Really, really sad. Because now in Florida, the issue that we have is that some of the insurance companies don't want to renew policies. My policy ends in December, and it's like you're just waiting, hola, to see if they're going to renew it. Not me, I'm Midwest. That's good. That's good. Because the hurricanes are no fun. And in Florida, we also have tornadoes. But here in Panama, we don't have that, even though sometimes they say if they have a bad storm like in Colombia or in Costa Rica, we feel it a little bit. And that goes for the earthquakes. They have earthquakes in Colombia to the east and Costa Rica to the west. When they have a tremor, we feel it. People in David, in the Chiriquí province, they feel those. The last one they had maybe a couple of months ago, the kids out of the school, they had to run out. It was a little bit strong. And last year they did a whole emergency, what do they call those? When they pretend that's what's gonna happen. A drill, or is it a drill? Anyway, they did it for earthquakes, for floods, for fire, and all the emergency people were involved. And then, and people in building like myself, because I'm on the 30th floor, and I had to find out where the fire extinguisher was in my hallway, which I did. I found it, and of course, being a nurse, I know how to use one. And but if there is a bad emergency in a building like this, you just hope and pray. My apartment has the water thing in the ceiling, which is good. That means if there was if the temperature got hot enough, they would be activated, I hope. But elevators wouldn't be working, and for me to take the stairs 38, but this building has a good track record. And that's why I recommend people, when you're trying to find a place, don't go into these really old buildings, right? Because they have had fires in El Congrejo, in San Francisco. I think the last time they had a fire in El Congrejo, somebody had died. There was like an explosion because they use a lot of gas here, right? And that's why also in Panama, I think every 3 years by law, the fire department inspects every building, and they're on a rotation, right? And when they are checking the gas situation, it could take weeks. So they shut it off. So if you live in those apartments and you have gas, I have electric, thank God. But if you have gas, I tell people, first of all, buy a fire extinguisher so that if you have a kitchen fire, you know how to put it out. And when the bomberos, which is the fire department, come, they shut the gas. Nobody has gas. So everybody has those little electric hot plates, so they can use, because sometimes it takes weeks. Somebody said sometimes it took 6 weeks for them to check every apartment and make sure everything is okay. Because if they find any kind of leaks or anything that they need to fix, it's going to extend the time that you are without gas. So you have to have a way to cook your food on a hot plate, right? Unless you're going to be going outside all the time and eat. And so that's important. Know that if you move into an apartment, ask them when the next scheduled inspection is, because that's going to be the time when you're going to be without gas, and you will be able to cook. Oh, and also that includes hot water. So you're going to be taking some cold showers. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just the way it is. Oh my goodness. So how is everybody doing today? Anything special? I have family in South, but didn't get affected. That's good. Yeah, we didn't either. I was like, oh, thank God, because the last hurricane, Maria, I was at work. I was a supervisor, and I could not leave because as a medical person, if they have an emergency, you can't just get up and go, right? So we stayed. I was at work for over 24 hours. So after the hurricane blew, I didn't know how my house had fared, because there's nobody in my house but me. So after, I think it was like almost 48 hours, I said, okay, I'm going to go home. And then I remember my boss saying, well, the roads are not going to be passable. It's not safe for you to go. I said, I got to go check on my house. So I went, and let me tell you, when I pulled away from the building, there was nobody in the streets, just a couple of cars, and it looked like a war zone. Every tree was down, so I had to maneuver a path to get to my home. And I live in a gated community, and the gate was wide open, and it looks like a disaster, like a bomb had gone off. And when I got to my house, of course I'm in Florida, lots of oak trees. The trees didn't fall themselves, but the large branches were back on the ground, and it looked like, I don't know, but everything was down. I had things in the yard like this high that I had to take care of. And then my screen porch, part of it had flown away, but the roof was fine. Didn't miss any tiles, no windows had blown. I was like, whew. I just escaped that. But the last time we had 4 hurricanes, I remember. You remember that? We had Donna and like they were back to back. That was scary. That was scary. So today we're gonna be making veggie balls. If you are trying to do whole food plant-based, if you're trying to go vegetarian, and you don't have to change everything, maybe just make a few changes. Just start by reducing the amount of meat that you eat, if you're a meat eater, right? Try to eliminate processed food. Anything that's in a bag, that's in a can, chances are they have to put things in it to keep it longer, right? That's why I'm not a fan of garlic powder. You know, I don't know how long these things have been in those jars. And then eliminate soda. There's nothing good about soda, right? Drink more water, and then start to slowly introduce some healthy food in your diet. So if you say, okay, I'm gonna start eating a vegetarian meal once a week, start like that. But what I want you to know is that when you see me make this these veggie balls, you're gonna say, oh, that looks pretty good. I think I would enjoy that. And you're gonna see how I season it, because I'm Caribbean. We season everything. If something doesn't taste good, I'm not gonna eat it. And of course, I always say we eat with our eyes, right? So if the food looks good, it does something to your brain that activates your appetite, and you're more likely to eat it. So there is no reason why anybody should be eating dry, boring food. I don't believe in that. All right, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna start with cooking a little bit of quinoa, because you can put rice in your balls, but I think I'm going to do quinoa. And I also boil some black beans. I soak them overnight. And then I also cook some chickpeas, because I started cooking my chickpeas with aromatics, meaning anything you have in the fridge that's going, then you boil it, it takes less time to cook. And I put bay leaves, sometimes I put, like this morning, I had green peppers, bay leaves, and fresh garlic. That's going to up your taste, right? So that's what I do with my beans. If I'm cooking any beans, I soak them overnight. So a little bit of olive oil in the water, and that's it. I don't put salt, sugar. I do have a history of high blood pressure, because in my family we have it. This week I think I was out. I was at the mall, and I started feeling a little bit weird. And I was like, that's the second time I felt that here. One time I was close to Cinco de Mayo, and I felt a little bit lightheaded. But remember, I don't eat breakfast, which I know it's not a good practice. I just can't put food in my tummy so early. So I started feeling a little bit weird. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go home. So I came home, took everything off. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you do that, but when I was in the States, after a day of work, some things come off when I'm in the garage. Can you relate to that? It's like the older you are, the less constriction you can handle, right? So you're vegetarian, wonderful. So I came home, took everything off, got into my moo-moo. I found some things that they're not like our moo-moos and the one you saw at Walmart. They're not like that. But I went to a place called El Campeon, the Champion, and they had them in there for like $3. So I got 3 of them. And my other friend said, I got 5. Because you can breathe in those. But I was still feeling a little bit weird. And I said, you know what? It's either my blood pressure is up or it's low. And I took my blood pressure, it was low for me. 110/70, that is low for me. And then my heart rate, usually 70, was like 90. And I know that means I'm a little bit dehydrated, right? Because your heart, when your heart senses that there is less volume, less fluid around, it's beats a little faster to try to send the blood to all your organs. That's just the way the Lord designed this incredible body, right? So I drink a glass of water, I lay on the couch, within an hour I was fine, right? So that's why I tell people, listen to your body. Your body will tell you, and you need to listen, right? And the reason you need to listen is because as we get older, we become more fragile and more sensitive to subtle changes. Now, if I was in my 30s, my blood pressure was like this, I was dehydrated, I probably wouldn't feel it. But because I'm a woman of a certain age, I have to be more in tune with my body. You'll be retiring in Panama. Wonderful. So today is all about cooking, and I thought maybe we can chat about how to get your mindset, how to develop a positive mindset so you can deal with this crazy life, right? I was watching the news again this week, and it wasn't here in the U.S., but in the UK, another young, beautiful girl killed herself because of bullying. And I'm starting to hear rumbling about bullying here in the school in Panama, and that is a concern because America, with all its confusion and mess and dysfunction, is still looked at by the rest of the world as the example that everybody needs to follow. Okay? So kids, they all have cell phones. They're online, they're on TikTok, and they're watching. And the stuff that is happening in our own backyard, I'm putting the quinoa, happening in our own backyard is starting to happen here. And that is worrisome. That is worrisome. So I hear that in the news, they're talking about that. They're trying to get ahead of it. But yeah. All right. So we got our quinoa cooking. So yeah, I thought we would talk about how to develop, I don't even want to say positive mindset, because it's all about survival. I think I was telling you guys about my story last week about how my mom, who was a single parent, my parents divorced, I was 4. I had a younger brother who died in infancy, and then my sister was a baby. So it's just the 2 of us. And then my mom got a boyfriend and got another child. So I have a much younger brother, and there is 11 years between us. But, I've always been a little bit of a, I don't want to say rebel. I'm a firstborn. And I don't know if you've read the book by, I forgot what the name of the psychologist. It's called The Birth Order Book. It's a really good read. It talks about certain characteristics that the firstborn has versus the middle child versus the baby, right? So I'm a firstborn, take charge, leadership, that's me. I'm typical. And I'm a girl. And my firstborn son is my total opposite, because boys and girls are different. But my middle child is a typical middle child. Nothing phases him. Happy-go-lucky, rolls with the punches. I remember this child would do something, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take your, whatever they used to call these little things they used to play game. I'm gonna take it for a week. It's like, okay, and then he goes out. I'm gonna say, go to your room. Okay. Nothing phases that kid. But the first one, ooh, mommy, drama, drama, drama. Anyway, so my mom, as a single parent, she was industrious, a businesswoman. Everything she touched, she turned to gold. Good sense of business. My mom, at one point, she owned multiple trucks, and people were working for her. I mean, she worked hard. But my mom grew up in a time, and in my family, I mean, I'm gonna air my dirty laundry here, but there was this thing in my grandparents. My grandma was a little saint. She was just a very soft and kind of person. And then my grandfather was the total opposite, right? He was a woman's man, you know, having children all over the place. And so when he started having children with my grandma, they had 6 kids, 4 girls and 2 boys. The boys were given the best in education, and the girls were not so lucky, except for one. In my family, we have some Cherokee in our background, because if you were to look at my grandparents, you probably wouldn't think that we're related. You know, they had really straight Cherokee hair, light skin, but then my dad, you know, I'm almost like my dad. So my mom grew up with a certain, you know, kind of resentment because she was not treated the same as the others. So that kind of pushed her to excel. And the way she knew to excel was in business. Okay? So my mom was the consummate businesswoman. And that's why I say, I think I take after her, because I too have a business mindset. That's why when I was starting my first business, which was a home care agency, Inc. magazine had a self-assessment test that they published. And I think they called it the entrepreneur IQ. And I took it and I scored really well. But then I found out that there is a link, the genetic link in entrepreneurship in people. That if you come from a family that is entrepreneurial, there is a good chance that you too are going to be entrepreneurial. And I think I was like, oh, I'm thinking after my mom. But because my mom was so into making it, trying to make up for what she didn't have while she was growing up, right? So she was an overachiever in her own way. But when you do that, when you're an overachiever, there are things in your life that are going to suffer, right? Buenos dias, Kimberly, Maggie, Miss K Bounds, hola. Thank you, welcome. So when you try to overcompensate in anything, not just family, some areas of your life are going to suffer. I say that as women, we have been fed a lie that we can do it all and we can have it all. And I think that's what Stephanie Perry refers to as put the cape down, take off the cape, right? And I call it myself the big mama syndrome, not in terms of overachievement, but in just caring for everybody, taking everybody under your wing, that you're responsible for everyone. And to realize that you don't have to do that. It's not sustainable. Some areas of your life are going to suffer, whether it's your health, your relationship, right? Or the job performance. So my mom was an overachiever. She worked hard and she wasn't home alone a lot, right? And because I told you she was divorced when I was 4, so again, I talked about the angel that came in my life last time when I was, in my situation. And I think with her and us, because my sister at that time, she's 4 years younger, we were like left to, because we had hired help, we were left to, with the hired help. My mom would be gone overnight and then she'd be out working. So there was not a lot of, I need to be home for these children. That wasn't the mindset then. You know that, right? We grow and we learn to do things better. And that should be a goal for each one of us. So I grew up because of that, very independent. I was pretty much the lady of the house because my mom wasn't there. So I was managing the house, dealing with the help, and but then as I grew older, I realized that I got cheated a little bit. You know, I missed my mom not being home. Miss, how long did it take you to find an apartment like yours? Not long, few weeks. I'm a retiring nurse in a couple of years. My first visit to Panama in 2 weeks. Oh, hola. Yeah, just hit me up. It doesn't take long. There are so many people here showing apartments, and there's a lot of inventory. So you'll have no issues finding an apartment, okay? So don't worry. But I tell people, book an Airbnb first. Don't be in a rush to get into an apartment. And that's a mistake some people make. And if you watch my video also, I encourage you to lease for 6 months the first time. So you can really find out, do I really like this place? Because you don't want to, you know, hurry and get into something and then you don't like it, okay? So, going back to my mom, she wasn't home alone with us. And I think towards the end, as I got to be older, finished high school, that's when she sent me to the US, alone, with total strangers. Well, I resented that. I'd never left home. I was homesick, I was lonely, and I had to figure things out for myself. But thank God I found a church and friends, and I'm here. And that you build resilience. But I'm saying all this to let you know that what I'm getting at is that when you've been given something, you know, things happen in your life. And some of us have gone through some really bad things. And sometimes I wonder how some people survive all the stuff that's been done to them. When I think I was in my 20s, when I realized, and I'm like, you know what? My mom did what she thought was the best thing for me. And I think early on, I said, you know what? She did her best. Therefore, I have nothing to say against her. And I think that was unusual to come up with this early on, because all I see is the opposite. People just hanging on to the fact that their parents did this or didn't do that, and then they hang on to it, right? And the more you hang on to stuff like that, the deeper they drag you. You have to find a way to let it go. And sometimes you need to talk with a therapist. I think there was one point I did try to go see a therapist, but it couldn't help me. But therapy is hip now. When I was coming up, like people say, if you went to a therapist, people thought you were crazy, right? So there was a stigma attached to somebody needing to speak to a therapist. Not anymore. So if you need help, go. Because sometimes some behaviors you are exhibiting, whether it's smoking, eating, sex addiction, illicit drugs, over anything, you know, let's say you working yourself to death, you eating yourself into oblivion. These are not healthy habits. So if you identify those and you realize I need some help, and I think that's the first step to say, I don't think I can do this on my own. And a lot of times, the reason it helps is that you have this accountability, because you have to report to this person, right? They're gonna say, well, how you doing? We have to be assertive in our own healing, right? I know a child who is an adult in his 40s, right? But there are some things that happen that were not even that serious, although some kids really have some serious stuff happen to them, you know, like abuse. How do you heal from that? And if you talk to a therapist, they'll tell you, you have to go deep in and realize the hurt. It's like you have a wound that is starting to scab over. At least one time, you got to pull the scab off and say, oh, that is what happened. Oh, that was awful. Oh, this is terrible. That's the connection between what happened and what my behavior is right now. And somehow you have to get to a point where you're going to have to say, you know what, that piece of whatever, but I have to release that. Sis, if you don't do that, you're not going to heal. You are not going to heal. When you forgive someone, you're healing yourself, not that person. That person may never change, but that's outside of your concern. What's within your power to change is you, your response. Because what you're going to keep doing is hurting yourself. I'm just putting the quinoa, the water is evaporated, so I'm going to cover it, turn down the heat so it's going to plump up. I need it to plump up. So this is what you need to do. And that's why therapy helps. The release is important. And you hear that a lot now. People talk about being grateful is healthy, waking up every day, saying, thank you, Lord, for what I have. You may not be healthy, you may not have a lot of money, but what you have, you lift it up to the sky and you say, I am grateful. Because if you look around, there is always someone who is worse off than you. There is always someone who has gone through worse things than you, right? So we like to compare ourselves with other people where, this happened to me, this didn't happen to you. How can you relate? And that's why we have been taught to say, I understand. Because how can I understand? If I'm not walking in your shoes, I didn't have your experience, how can I say I understand? I say this all the time, counseling for making your life better. Who doesn't want that, right? I mean, it takes a special person to realize something and then do something about it. But the majority of the time, when you go see someone, they're removed from your situation. And if I'm not living with you, I'm not related to you, I'm not your friend, it's a lot easier for me to be objective and to say, well, Maggie, have you thought about that? Maybe I haven't. And you're like, oh, no, I never thought of it that way, right? And that's why now everybody goes to therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. Even the employers are paying for you to go. So, because my audience is mostly older women, but I'm saying that a lot of times we carry stuff from way back when and we haven't dealt with it and we are in our 50s. Do yourself a favor, deal with it, find out. And that's why I'm one of those people, if someone has something against me or you stop talking to me, I'm going to say, okay, sis, what is wrong? Did I do something? Let's hash it out. Let's bring it up because I just don't have time to keep second guessing what your behavior means. I'm going to come to you right away and say, okay, let's talk about it. Because when I was younger, I used to be this, what could I say? I used to hang on to a grudge for a long time. I remember. I carried that like a badge of honor. Well, she did this to me, therefore I'm not talking to her ever. It's a long time. So, but I don't remember when. Maybe it was around the time I realized my mom wasn't perfect, but she wasn't the worst person either, right? I'm like, I just don't have the energy to keep being mad at someone, I don't know how to hate anybody, first of all. So if you think you got something against me or I did something, and then here you are, stewing, angry, and I'm living my best life. I'm clueless. I don't know that I hurt you. So if I see your behavior is ongoing, I'm going to say, is everything okay? And what do they say all the time? Oh, no, everything's fine, right? You're not going to get anywhere with that. You got to say, well, you know, last week you said this and that hurt my feeling. That's what adults should do. And you, as the other adult, and your therapist will tell you, you're going to say, did I? Well, you're too sensitive. I didn't mean to do that. That's not going to solve the problem. Apologize. Oh, sis, I was clueless. I am so sorry. I didn't know you took it that way. I didn't mean it to hurt you, but I'm so sorry. And mean it, right? And that's how you fix the relationship. But if you're in denial, and one thing I addressed with someone not too long ago, and I'm like, don't dismiss someone's feeling. Yes, you may think it's childish, but it's their feeling, right? And from Quebec, oh my gosh. Let's see, it's September. Is it cold there now? Oh, personality. Oh, thank you. All right, so now the quinoa is cooking. I'm still chopping peppers because we're going to use that to make our burgers and our balls. I keep chatting away. But yeah, so I'm not a therapist, but again, I'm sure you guys know I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And mostly the difference between a psychologist is that we do a lot of counseling. Psychiatrists, we can prescribe medication for your issue. And as psychiatrists, we recognize the value of therapy. And a lot of times somebody will come with an issue, and especially my first line is not a prescription. My first line is to prescribe what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. Go see this person, go talk it out. If you can't sleep, let's find out why you can't sleep. I'm not going to write your prescription right away for a sleeping pill. I want to find out what's keeping you awake, right? Because sometimes sleepiness could be associated with anxiety or depression, not just anxiety. So people don't just have anxiety for no reason. You got to get to the root of the problem. Like I said, take the scab off, look at it, say, oh, that's what happened. Let's see what we can do. And then we can cover it up, let it heal again. And you don't have to keep taking the scab off. That's another thing. Some people keep going back and forth about the same thing, re-injuring themselves over and over. That's not good either. Okay? So I think as we get older, we should have developed some of these skills. Because like I told somebody before, I said the same issues that you have in the States, if you don't address them, you're going to bring them with you. You're going to bring them with you to Panama, Costa Rica, wherever you go. All righty. Now, I think most people that I see here in Panama are happy. I don't think I've met someone who is unhappy, but I'm sure there are some. My circle is very small, and that's always been like that because I am a very introverted kind of person. I can go out, I can talk to people, I hold classes, but I don't like to go. Quebec, subscribe. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, we are about 25 subscribers away from 4,000. And I said, I am believing that by the end of this live, we're going to hit 4,000. So go tell your friends and family to hit that subscribe button. Go ahead. I'll wait for you. This is the thing that challenges me. Yes, YouTube, I don't want to take over my life, but there is still an element of competitiveness, of goal setting and goal reaching. And I think that's what keeps me engaged And I enjoy my life because I am forever setting goals. I met this couple this week, and I was telling them how much I enjoy doing this, talking to people, being creative, and creating content. And she was like, nope, nope, I admire what you're doing. I just want to know where the next place to go eat. First of all, I don't like to eat at restaurants because I keep saying, I know what they do in those restaurants, what they put in your food to make them taste good. And I just can't do that anymore. Mm-mm. Plus, I don't like to spend money like that. So, ooh, looks like we're gonna have some rain. But, all right, so we're almost done with all our, oh, I'm gonna have to chop some onions. But yes, sis, whatever the issue might be, you know, I think there's a verse in the Bible that says, whatever you do, be at peace with everyone. When you go to bed, ooh, wow, hey, when you go to bed, you should have good sleep. That shouldn't be anything that keeps you up. And if there is, find out what it is and deal with it. 3 different times, not to maybe behind the other, what the problem is. If I get no response in the behavior, continue, leave it alone. Yeah, I mean, once you've made the, you know, you made the first move, because you know what? Some people like to be miserable, right? And they carry this, oh, she did this like a badge of honor. What is on them? Because they're the one carrying the load, not you. Because once you forgive someone, and like I say, in a nice way, you go and you say, can we just talk about whatever the issue is? And if they're in denial or they're like, oh, nothing, nothing. Some people are like that. It's like, you know, I tried. You got to move on. You have got to move on. I just don't have time to be dealing with people who are unable or unwilling to address an issue like an adult. All right? Because yes, and that's what you teach your children. And that's why I keep saying, you don't want to rescue your kids all the time. You have to allow them to fail sometimes, right? And those of us who've raised kids, you know, you have to do that. And what I call the big mama syndrome are those mothers who are washing their kids' clothes. They get up, they come home, and they have to do dinner. Nobody can feed themselves. What the heck? I was never like that. And my kids are super independent. So you don't want to raise human being like that. No, ma'am. So yeah, if I say what's wrong and you say nothing, I say, listen, something obviously is going on, but if you're not willing to address it, I'm moving on. And the relationship might change, and you have to be okay with that, right? You have to be okay with that. Some people don't want to address anything, or they'll say, well, I'm not confrontational. That's not being confrontational. It's being a human and address things, because things will happen. Nobody's perfect. But if I'm asking you what's wrong, and you refuse to address it, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Oh, this tea, I can have it without sugar. So there is no sugar, no honey. This lady was like, I use agave. Well, agave is still sugar. I always cry when I chop onions. You know, there's something someone told me, you peel the onion and then you run cold water on it. Then you're not gonna cry so much. The restaurant put all kinds. Oh yeah. Listen, I ran a cafe and I work in restaurant when I first graduated, and they put things in their food, and you trying to stay away from processed food. Well, you can have the same thing. In terms of additives. Plus, they use way too much sugar. They use way too much butter. And again, because you're a woman of a certain age, you have to pull back on this stuff. So no, I don't like to eat at restaurant. And I think even here in Panama, sometimes I don't move within certain circles, right? Because it's always, oh, let's go here and there. Let's go to the rooftop. Let's go there. And it's all about drinking. I don't drink. I don't know. I don't enjoy a lot of senseless chatter. I have things I can be doing at home. So I like my time to mean something, right? If I'm going to have coffee with someone, I want good conversation. What we're trying to do here with SWRA, and it's been a challenge, is to create deeper connection. People want to be kind of superficial and not get deep, so that, because what I want is, like, when I'm sick, I want somebody to check on me, right? If I have a problem, I want you to tell me and I can help you if I can. But if we're just so superficial, it's not going to work. But I keep at it because I know when you have a goal, you have to have blinders on, right? You have to kind of strive forward. It's not going to be smooth sailing. I get that. Robin, you did your part. My doctor said stay away from eating out. Yes, ma'am. So, but with me, since I lost the weight and I went whole food plant-based, if I cheat, and I think 2 weeks ago I did cheat, what I did, I went to, I showed you that picture of the bakery case at Ray, and they had these little rolls, and I grew up dipping that in my coffee with the carnation milk. And but let me tell you, when I cheat like that, it takes me about a couple of weeks to recover, sadly. So when I cheat like that, and when I want to get back to myself, I'll try fasting. Intermittent fasting is a really good habit to get into. Go down to 2 meals a day, or if you can, 1 meal a day. That's going to be good with hydration and supplements. But so I think the day when I felt a little lightheaded, I think I had fasted the day before. So when you're fasting, you have to drink a lot more water, and then you have to maybe get like an electrolyte packet, because you need to replace your sugar and salt so everything can stay in balance. And I think that's what happened with me. So yeah, I don't like to eat out. All right. I think I have some Roma tomatoes here. We're going to chop those, and then we're going to put them in our marinara. So we need to get started with the marinara. All right. I told you I have the gift of gab. I can just chat away. But I like to cook my food. I do not like to eat out. And sometimes people feel a little bit offended if they say, well, let's meet over there at that restaurant. And I'm like, well, I already went with someone this week. I can do it twice in a week. And that's what I do. So if you invite me and I don't go, please don't be offended. And plus, I feel like it busts my budget when I'm going out, even though we get the jubilado discount. It's not even about that. It's about the quality of the food. I do not like to eat out. This works better with my serrated knife. Oh, I can't wait to go home in January to get my stuff back. My knives. Whew. You know how we do. We go back home with an empty suitcase so we can bring the stuff. My foundation, the little comb that I use for my edges. Yep. And I even went and got some hair at Okaloka, which is like a lower end type of store, but that's the only place I've seen it. And the quality of the hair is not even that good. So yes, We love Panama, but we still miss certain things from home. So if there's anything that, oh, I did find Jamaican curry powder at Reba Smith the other day. So it's not just okra. I found okra somewhere else this week. There is a store in El Congrejo called Fruteria Mini. It's like a mini supermarket when you go in there, and I'm gonna do a short video about that. I found okra there, and they had a whole bin of avocado. I mean, they had pretty much everything. But anyway, I was looking for a Chinese tea house in that area, and I found it. So I love tea. When I go to China, I'm gonna go on a tea tour and get the history of tea. I don't have that plane yet. I'm going to Peru this fall. Where is home? Florida, Central Florida, in close to Orlando. My house is still there. My house is being leased, and I leased it twice. But this time, I'm ready to sell it. But I'm just praying they renew my home insurance, because with this hurricane that just passed, I'm sweating it. I'm sweating it. Because last year I was here. I came here in November, and I had received a note that they were not going to renew my insurance. And I had not had, I had a couple of claims from another hurricane. They replaced my roof and something else. So they're like, no, we're not going to insure you anymore. So it was something to find another plan from here. They made me jump through so many hoops. Deeper connections, yeah. Yeah, I love tea. When I was at home, I used to drink Earl Grey in the morning. I don't know if I've seen Earl Grey. I'm sure if I go to Reba Smith, I'll find it. But I've been drinking green tea lately, and I find that I can drink this unsweetened. And anything that I can drink that I don't have to put sugar in, I'm all for it. All right, one last one. Then we're gonna get started. It won't take long because the beans, everything is cooked. We're just gonna put things together. But I think we need to do the marinara first. And the marinara doesn't take a long time either. So don't go buy Prego after today. Make your own. What was the other brand? Ragu? They put lots of sugar in theirs. Do you know when I was in school and they were teaching us how to make marinara, one thing that they made us put in the marinara sauce is carrots. I never thought about that. It's like, why do you put carrots in there? To replace the sugar that otherwise you would have to put in your marinara. So we just put a little bit of carrots and no sugar. Okay? Yeah, I don't eat breakfast, so it's usually a challenge for me. I just can't put food in my tummy that early. All right, let me get a small carrot. All right, so we're gonna put like maybe half a carrot. All right. So I'm gonna put the carrots in with all my peppers. And you want to chop it really small. Okay. So let us get started. We're going to use this pot, and I'm going to move the camera so you can just see me. All right. The quinoa is done. Okay. So we're going to put that on the side. Oops. All right. Can you see this? Okay, I hope you guys can see. Let me know if you can't see it. I might need to raise this a little bit. A little higher. Okay. That better? Can you guys see? All right. So, a little bit of EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. And we always start with onions first. All right. And I use, I think I want to do some French onion soup soon because it is the fall and not everybody is in Panama. So we can do French onion soup. Oh, I love French onion soup. And then you make homemade croutons. Or you buy the French bread to do the topping. And you know, as much as I don't like to shop at Reba Smith, but they have all the cheeses that you crave. All right, I'm still not thinking that you guys are able to see this. Yep, they have a whole row of cheeses. But like I say, I don't like to shop there. Things are a bit expensive at Reba Smith. So now don't be stingy with the onions, okay? This is for the marinara, so. I like the fact that I have electric only here in my kitchen. I like that. You can see the pot. Perfect. You know, last year when I was here, I came in January of last year, and I knew I was going to go to the Peace Corps, so I did not. That's why I leased for 6 months, right? But I live off of one pan. because I did not want to bring a bunch of things. All right, so I have fresh garlic. And this one is gonna go in the burger. So I kind of chop like 2 heads of garlic. Now you always start your cooking with this, right? And if you're making like stew or something else, then you can add the carrots and the celery, and that's going to increase your. So now I have all the chopped peppers and the carrots. So that's gonna go in. So we're going to add the tomatoes a little bit later because we want this to soften and to cook a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to add some seasoning. Oops. Now, I also got my Chardonnay. I use white wine in my marinara. Game changer. Because remember, when you add a little alcohol in your food, if you burn it off, the alcohol is burned off. So you don't have to worry, oh my God, we're going to be drunk. We're not going to be drunk. Don't worry about that. All right. So here we go. Pepper. Slap your mama. Now, when you make good marinara, if you use it with anything else, you don't have to season it a lot because that marinara is so good that you don't need to add any seasoning. And that's why I don't even add, that's paprika. I always use paprika in almost everything. And I also have smoked paprika that I love more than regular paprika. Oh, where's my smoked paprika? Oh, I think I'm out of it. Okay, that's all right. Now, I always talk about acid, but in this particular dish, you don't need to add that because you're going to have all the tomatoes, right? We add all the tomatoes, and then I'm going to increase the heat because I want that to cook. So once it starts to cook down a little bit, then I'll add the wine. All right, I'm going to cover it for a bit. In the meantime, I'm going to open my 2 cans of, maybe I'll do maybe 1 can of tomato sauce. Now in Panama, they have a lot of, you can find tomato paste in little things like that, a lot of it. Because remember, Panama is very heavily influenced by Spain. So things like olives, capers, there's a lot of that here. And a lot of tomato paste like that. But if you're looking for tomato sauce, that seems to be a little bit pricier because they don't really use canned tomatoes. And you know, I'm not into canned so much, but I make an exception for the tomato sauce. And also in Panama, bring a good can opener or an electric one. I was told that when I was going to South Africa. They said, "No, bring your can opener." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Alright. Yeah, I'll do one and then I'll squeeze the rest of it in here because I still have some marinara. Okay, so if you make marinara, just buy some of these and then you put them in and you freeze them and then you can take them out the night before you use them. That way you can batch it. Another thing that I'm going to need for my burgers is oats. These are rolled oats, but they are integral. Integral means they're whole, they haven't been bleached. So what I do, I just toast it a little bit in a pan before I mix it in for the balls. So I think we're good. I don't know if you saw my shorts yesterday. I found okra. I'm in love with okra. I'm sorry. I found okra at the Mimi Fruteria Mimi in El Congrejo. Because before I could only find them at Reba Smith, and someone says that Foodie also has them. So I got to check Foodie out. And then I found Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. You know, I roast them. Yum, yum. So I'm a happy girl. I still have some corvina, some fish. I think that's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna cook the corvina and then roast the Brussels sprouts. But the okra, when I cook okra, I need some beef bones, you know, for the taste. And I'm just turning the fan on a little bit. All right, so now while this is cooking down a little bit, I'm going to start mixing things for the my beautiful bowl for our balls. Okay, so what I did, I told you I cooked some black beans with some aromatics. That's green peppers and garlic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I drain any water that is there, and then I'm going to put it in the bowl. Gonna do the same thing with the chickpeas. All right. And I'm just gonna mash them a little bit, not too much, but I don't want them to be like whole. Nor do I want to put it like in a blender. That would be too, I don't want them to be too mashed up. I started boiling my chickpeas, and I don't like to go to the cans after that. Oops. But the bay leaf, we don't want that in our burgers. Ooh. In our bowls. So we're also going to add the quinoa. It started. All right, come on. I just want the water to evaporate in this before I put the wine in. Okay. All right. In our mix for the patty, for the balls, I put some artichokes hot. I'm gonna chop in it. I love artichokes, don't you? Ooh, I love them. That's one thing I don't like to cook fresh. I'd rather buy them like this. Oh, yum. And then we're gonna put olives. I have regular olives and I have black olives that's been pitted. I don't have capers, but you can put capers. It adds a certain thing to the taste. These are the black olives. Black olives are a little bit difficult to find here for some reason. I mean in the regular stores, but of course, every time you're looking for something here in Panama that you can't find, you go to Riversmith, you'll find it. Most likely. So I'm gonna chop some black olives. I like the contrast that the black olives add to the balls. Okay. I even had a hard time finding a good chef's knife here. Whew. That's why I hear people just have all their kitchenware shipped. I don't think I want to do that. Alright. Olives. Now let's put some of the regular olives. How about these in, they come like this too, not just in cans. You can buy them like this. When they make arroz con pollo, Puerto Rican style, they add a lot of olives. Usually I don't eat a lot of olives because I feel like they're a little bit salty. But again, once we mix everything in our bowl, we're going to taste everything, right? Oh, these have pits. Oh, no bueno, Maggie. All right, almost. All right, so let's put the white wine. And again, I eyeball, you guys, so you could say maybe half a cup. And it all depends on how much you're making. But if you let it cook down, then you don't have to worry about it. My olives have pits, so I have to take the, oh no. That's not good. Because this one says, deshuesados. That means they took the bones out. This means without. Huesos means bone. So deshuesados, that means they took the bones out. Spanish lesson. I think I was doing a video yesterday and I was giving some lessons too, because when you say panaderia, anytime you see the word ria, that means that's where they make something or sell something. So bread is pan, panaderia means bakery, where they sell bread, right? Lavar means to wash, and then you see lavanderia, that's where it's like a dry clean place where they can also wash your like comforters. So in Panama, I did also another short about the mini supers. We have little small stores we call mini supers here. They're like bodegas. If you are from New York City, you know what a bodega is. You know, like a little convenience store where you could buy anything from lottery tickets to whatever. But I don't think they sell lottery in those here. But they are all owned by Chinese here in Panama. You could be in a little remote mountain area. You're going to find one, it's going to be a Chinese owner there. This is the weirdest thing. I asked why they were owned by Chinese. And this person said, it's because it's hard work. They work 7 days a week. It says, the locals wouldn't want to work this hard. I'm like, okay, whatever. But when they had the Chinese New Year this year, that was my first time experiencing that. It's the weirdest thing. They had this little Chinese man who was dressed in a cowboy outfit with the hat and the boots and everything, and he was singing like an Elvis Presley thing in English. That was weird. So when you go into one of these little mini supers and you're talking to the Chinese owners, I mean, they're as Chinese as can be, and they speak full Spanish. It is, I'm like, oh, it's interesting. But that's because the population here in Panama, we have about 5% Spanish people who also are descendant of those who came to work on the canal. It wasn't just the Caribbeans, right? Somebody tells me they have Indians too. I don't see that many Indians here, or maybe I haven't been to their community. We have Jewish people here. I'm seeing more Asian people, Muslim with the long dress, and some women with the covered faces. But the Chinese, pretty much I see them in those little stores. That's where I see them. I don't see them on the metro. On the metro, Panamanian, indigenous people in their tribal outfit, yeah, you see them all over the country. Alright, so got my olives in. Alright. I'm gonna have to chop a little bit more peppers for my, oops. You know, this burner, sometimes it just decides to go. Alright. So let us toast some of the oats. So I'm gonna do it over here. Panamanian also use this, the oats, and they make what they call avena. So if you go to like a fonda on a Sunday, you're gonna see avena, just like our oatmeal. It's like with milk and canela, cinnamon, sugar. Yep. Alrighty, so now we are putting our tomato sauce in. I'm gonna squeeze the rest because I don't want to keep that in the fridge. I'm gonna squeeze the rest of that tomato paste in here. And then I think I have a little bit of vegetable stock. I'm gonna use that. So when I make my marinara, it's chunky. It's not, you know, it's supposed to be chunky, right? Alright, let's see. You know, actually, I think I could use the other one. The other can. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to have to cover it because it's going to be splashing me. And that means I'm going to have a lot left that I can, let's see, it needs just a little bit of liquid. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of water in here. And then we're going to let it cook, reduce, and then we're going to season it, and then we're going to finish it off with that fresh basil. Woo, look at that. You see that beautiful bunch? $1.59. So this is not so hard to find here in Panama. Okay. I'm making spaghetti for dinner tonight. Yummy. You puree all the veggies. Yeah, you can do that. I just like it chunky myself. There is no right or wrong. The oats Alright. Now I'm gonna do some veggies, some peppers that we're going to toast a little bit, season, and then add. You're probably gonna move that in the back. Alright, so we're gonna do onions and peppers. And I also have some jalapeno for my balls. You don't need to add them if you don't like jalapeno. And I also, last week, I don't know if you recall, I made pickles, which is the pickled cabbage. Let me tell you, I love sardines, right? Because I don't eat protein. So sometimes I like fish, but if I'm too lazy to do fish, I'll just buy sardines. And sardines are good. They're full of antioxidants. And I just take a little bit of that and I put it on top. And if I had some avocado, and that's it. I don't need anything else. So that pickles is the bomb. You can watch my other live to see if you're interested in how I made it. Alright, let's see. You know, I make something I call coconut balls, which is, because I don't eat dessert that much, and we're not gonna eat sugar and stuff. So, what do you do for dessert if you have a sweet tooth? A lot of people use dates. I remember when I was, before you could put applesauce, but applesauce doesn't go into the dessert. So I use dark chocolate, and I toast some oats. And then I have mixed nuts, and what else do I put in there? Cranberries, dry cranberries, and then I bind it with a little bit of coconut milk, and then I roll them smaller than what you're gonna see us make those veggie balls. And then you have a cup of coffee. So I'll make it one day. That's gonna be our dessert, because we are not gonna be putting that white sugar in anything you're gonna see me make in this kitchen. No, that's not gonna happen. Okay? Alright, so I think that's good. I'm going to move the marinara to the back, turn the heat up, and then let's make the veggies, the peppers for the balls. Now, it doesn't have to be really small, but you don't want chunks either, right? It's really small dices. But when I was in school, we had knife skills where you would go in front of the chef that was sitting there behind the table, and you would make some cuts, and you had to present it. And we had like a little wooded measurement thing. And the chef would take your dice and measure it against that to see how many centimeters you were. And that was part of your, practicum. You have to talk about stress. There was something they called tournade, where you take a potato and you had to shape it into this oval looking thing with the pointy thing at both ends. We used to cry over these tournays, okay? Oh my God, why are we doing this to ourselves? It was terrible. Yes, the tournays. Woo. And me, I was always one to say, but why would you do that? Why would you destroy a potato like that? And I'm like, why don't we just cut the potato, dice it, and we could eat it and be done with it? It's like, Maggie, stop it. I'm like, I'm just asking. And of course, in my class, I was the oldest one. All these kids were like 18, right out of high school. And I'll never forget, they told us, oh yeah, you're gonna be working. And you go, the first job I went, and I interviewed at Downtown Disney in Orlando, and the chef says $8.50 an hour. I'm a nurse now, okay? I make money, good money. I was like, what? But because, you know, I was just getting started. So I think one day I went to see him and I said, Chef, I have to leave. He's like, why? I said, but I can't live on what you're paying me. And $8.50. I said, I only did that because I want to learn some skills. He said, really? And I'm like, come on now, Chef. That's why the people that he had working for them, the people on the line, we call that, who were cooking, doing all the stuff, they all had 2-3 jobs. And you know, we're living in trailers with multiple people. And I'm like, you don't really think that what you're paying these people, they can live off of it, right? I mean, he looked like he was shocked. I'm like, come on. Who can live off of that? Alright, so I used the rest of the little carrots that was there. That. And I have the rest of this pepper. Ooh, it smells so good. The marinara, I'm telling you, that white wine is a game changer. Try it. But what you need to do when you put it in that tomato mixture, make sure it cooks off. Okay? And what the carrot does, it also balances the color of the sauce, that it's not really, really red, because you want it to be a little bit off. I tell you though, I was in my 50s when I went to culinary school. It was one of those things that was on my, I guess you could say, my wish list. And I was so happy. Even to this day, if I am having a bad day, I go in the kitchen. That's my happy place. That's my happy place. So instead of going to a bar or get a drink, I cook. The problem that I have right now is that I can't cook a lot because I don't want a lot of food around my house, so I don't eat it. Because I try to eat once, maybe twice a day. That's why I don't eat breakfast. And not eating breakfast wasn't really related to my eating plan. It was just a habit. Oh, it smells amazing. That's why I love cooking. I like that smell in my house. And now that I'm here, and I think maybe a year before I retired, I'm chopping the jalapeno. I stopped making Thanksgiving because I used to have like 24 people at the house for Thanksgiving with all the trimmings. This year, I'm traveling to Peru, but I will be back before Thanksgiving, which last year, a friend of mine, we went to this restaurant through Internation, and we were looking for a Thanksgiving meal, and the guy gave us like a slice of some turkey, and I was like, that's Thanksgiving? So this year, I am cooking a turkey, because I have been craving a turkey leg. You can't find a turkey leg here in Panama. You go to the meat market, they don't sell turkey. Pavo, no hay pavo. So, but they do have the frozen one around the holidays. And even now, you're gonna find frozen a whole turkey or turkey breast. So if you want to do Thanksgiving here, even though a lot of us don't celebrate that as a holiday anymore, right? But you will find turkey. I remember, I came back in November and I was trying to do a Thanksgiving dinner, and I was looking for cranberry sauce. It was very hard to find cranberry sauce. And I made a dessert that called for fresh berries, and a little half a pint of blackberry was like $7. And I said, no mas, no, I don't need that anymore. Now see, I always have peppers in my house, in the fridge, because that is something you can throw in anything. So I always have onions, peppers, carrots, cabbage. I like cabbage too. All right. And give me a little bit of the orange. Yeah, peppers, pimiento. Pepinos are cucumbers. They call pepinos here. I haven't been to Merca in a couple of weeks and I feel like I'm missing something. That's another happy place. Alright, I think that's enough. And of course the peppers, you want them cooked but not overly, right? So we're gonna season now. Now, I have this dark soy sauce and I know it's very salty. So you're gonna see me use it maybe just a tad, right? Not a whole lot. And then again, black pepper. They have a place in Panama called El Dorado, and they have a China, like a Chinatown, cumin. And you can find a lot of Asian stuff there. Adobo. Now this one, I'm going to need some acid, okay? Because it's not the marinara. Paprika. And also, I think I'm going to add some rosemary to this dish here. Because I think it can sustain some really fine chopped rosemary. Just because I love rosemary so much. I put it in my hair last night when I was doing my braids. Oh, feels so good. Alright. Fresh rosemary. This is one of those herbs, you don't want chunks of it, right? So that would be very unpleasant, kind of like cloves. That's why I don't use cloves a lot because it's so strong. This is pretty strong, so that's why you don't need a whole lot. But it just elevates the dish. Ooh, alright, let's turn this down. Let me check on my marinara. Alright, and then acid. I just bought this bag of lime, and look at this one. Half of it is already gone. No bueno. some lime. Ooh, yeah. Now, see it? How beautiful is that? So let's give it a taste. Make sure everything is balanced. Alright. The oats. Alright, we're going to put that here. Let's finish off our marinara. Gonna get the basil ready. Oh my gosh. Oh. It's so good. Well, I'm very generous with the basil, okay? So, you know, I was thinking the other day and I'm like, oh, you know, because it's gonna go bad really fast, and I'm like, I wonder if you can make tea with basil. Anybody use basil for tea? I'm not brave enough to do that, but alright. Alright. Slow down, I have to taste. I think it needs to cook a little bit. Cook down a little bit, uncovered. I think it needs to thicken up a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna put it back. Usually I add the basil at the end. When you're doing herbs like that, you add it at the end. So let's put it back in there for a little bit longer. And let's finish off our balls here and get going with it. So now it's gonna be all about taste and shaping them. I also have some pesto. Why not? I'm gonna add a little bit of pesto. You know, pesto is basil, right? So it's not gonna hurt anything. And I also had a little bit of Dijon. Help me. Do you have any Grey Poupon? No, I wasn't looking for Grey Poupon. I was looking just for some Dijon mustard. Alright, I'm looking at the consistency because this is where it becomes really key to keep an eye. Now, if I want them, usually when I do a balls or a veggie burger, when I used to make them, I would put like crack a couple of eggs, right, as a binder, and we don't have that. Sometimes I use like potatoes, sweet potatoes, but we don't have that today. You can also add regular potato because the texture is going to give you, it's going to bind. So I'm going to add a little bit of coconut milk, just to add a little bit of moisture. And another thing I'm going to put in here to help me with the binding is a little bit of cornmeal, okay? Give it a taste and see if I need to add anything. So good. Squeeze a little bit more lemon, lime juice. This thing does not eat any salt, nothing else, you guys. So you can also form a patty, right? So you can make balls or you could make a patty. But I think potatoes, sweet potatoes, I didn't have any of that. Works much better in terms of giving you the shape that you want. All right, and I think we are ready to form our balls. Let me get this. All right. Oh my God. So good. Again, no salt needed. Guys, you don't need to add salt to your food. If you have the right balance, you work on the startup with the onions and the garlic and the herbs and the peppers. You don't need salt. So now I'm going to, you know, when I was in school, we used to call, you do the basil in chiffonade. That means, oops, don't splash me. You roll them. In chiffonade means you've seen the chef do that, right? In the cooking shows, you roll them and then you chop. What you don't want to do, what the chefs used to tell me, you don't want to bruise the basil, right? You just want to make really short strips. Chiffonade. And of course, when you go to cordon bleu, it's all about French technique. So you're going to hear a lot of French terms. Monté au beurre, chiffonade. Those are all French terms. Okay. So let's go ahead and put them in here. Don't be shy with the basil. What you don't want to do with the basil, you don't want to chop it really small. You don't do that. Chiffonade. But I think I do want it to be a little bit thicker, so I'm going to put it in the back there while we are rolling our... I don't need to add anything to this, okay? Alright, so 5... Okay. Now this is an old pan. I'm going to use that because like I said, there are certain things you're cooking, only a certain pan will do it. This is deeper. And I think it's going to work better. So now, we're going to roll our and what I do, I'm going to put a little bit of cornmeal in here. And then after I finish rolling, I just dust it in here before I put it in the pan. I'm gonna wash my hands. And I only use EVOO. I have tried avocado oil, but avocado oil is super expensive. These are your balls. You see them? Oh, we have to cook the pasta. And then I'll make maybe 1 or 2 patties just to show you. You can shape them into patties if you want to do like do veggie burgers. I don't do burgers because I don't want to eat the bread. So if I was to do veggie patties, I just use like, you can put some lettuce, tomato, and then maybe a slice of avocado on top, and then I eat it like that. Just because for me, I have to be careful about the carbs. It just doesn't agree with me. It makes my face swell up and these are your veggie balls. So good. You can use rice instead of quinoa. And like I said, go ahead and use some sweet potato as a binder if you have it. You can't go wrong. Sweet potatoes are good for you, right? You could use yuca if you love yuca. I love yuca. Once these are cooking, I'm just gonna boil some water. I have some, is it fettuccine? So if you love meatballs and you're trying to eat less meat, this is a great alternative. When I make them, I'll make a batch and I put them in different little baggies. And you can do that, put them in your freezer and then take them out the night before so you can have them. You can use those balls with any kind of pasta, spaghetti, fettuccine or whatever. And then if you put that marinara, now be careful when you freeze them. And when you are reheating them, be very careful. Put them on, you can put them in, I wouldn't put them in the oven, but I would put them on a pan like this and just warm up the marinara separate, because if you're going to put the veggie balls inside the marinara and you leave it on the stove, they might just, open up and you don't want to have like a mushy, you know what I mean? So warm them up separately and then just pour the sauce on top of it. Because we don't have eggs in here to hold this thing together, so you have to be careful. But mashing the peas helps. And then it just takes practice. Practice makes perfect, right? Veggie balls. A few more. And then we're going to I just added a little bit more coconut milk. Some of the peas were a little bit whole, so I'm crushing some of them. One more, and we'll make patties with the rest of them. And then we're gonna cook the patties, you know, in the same pan. Once we take these off, there we go. All right. Your veggie burger. You can't go wrong with a veggie patty. Even though it's called a veggie patty, or somebody would say it's a bean burger, I don't care what you call it. You can call it whatever you want, right? We're just trying to add variety to our diet and eat food that is healthy, good for us, pleasant to the eye, and tasty, right? All right. So we're good with that. Alright, so I am going to boil some water and so I can throw the fettuccine in it really quick. Now for the fettuccine, I bought these things. I remember buying them last year and I just like the way they came out. Now I have not made pasta myself because I don't want to invest the money to buy the little machine. And I don't eat that much carb, so there's no reason for me to buy a pasta machine. And I'm not interested in that. So I am going to put a little bit of salt this time for the pasta. When you're cooking pasta, you might hear they say salt like the sea. We were taught when we are boiling pasta, we put a lot of salt in it, but of course we're not going to do that. And then you put like a little bit of oil. So with your balls, you have to be gentle, okay? When you're turning them. That's why a spatula is very handy. That's one of the things you can just go to the store and buy when you're cooking fish. It's a lot easier to flip. So I use them to turn the burgers over. Alright. And then the cornmeal gives it like a nice little crust. Oh, yeah. These are pretty balls. I love making those. Because, you know, I can snack on these things all day. I'm going to put a little bit more oil. If you're one of those vegetarians that don't eat a drop of oil, I'm sorry. I do use some olive oil. And I believe you need a little bit of oil for your skin and your hair. And I'm not gonna eat like 2 pounds of nuts to get a little bit of fat, which is what a lot of them do. They buy like 2 pounds of cashews and then they say you get your fat that way. Everything in moderation, folks. All right, we're almost done. Did you wash? I did wash my hands. You didn't see me wash my hands, Chef? I washed my hands before and after. Can you drink the faucet water in Panama? Yes, you can. Please turn off the fan. Okay. Sorry. Reminds me of making meatballs with my mom. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was making meatballs, I could make turkey balls. But when you're trying to be healthy and you're doing plant-based, it's a little easier because I get the chickpeas. Oh my God, it is so good. You guys just don't know. Yes, I wash my hands, Chef. You know, one day I was watching this lady. I don't know that she was classically trained, but anyway, she had a show. I mean, she's a beautiful girl. And she was cooking, and her hair was all over the place. She would be doing this. And I'm like, Chef, what's with the hair? Put your hair up. You know, when we were in school, before we were allowed in the kitchen, we had to line up. We had to have our hat. Our hair had to be really tight. We couldn't wear jewelry, and we had to wear the cravat. I don't know what they call it. I don't remember, but there was something you put around your neck so your sweat didn't get into your food. I mean, they were not playing. So when I see someone with their hair all over the place, and I remember I talked to you about RTE last time, ready to eat food. There is certain food in a restaurant setting that you never touch with your hand, like salads and tomatoes that you're gonna serve fresh. If you're gonna cook it, it's not the same thing. So you always have to wear gloves and change your gloves. That was the other thing. People would have a pair of gloves and they wore the same pair of gloves for like hours in the kitchen. No bueno. All right. One thing I did this week, I was looking for different little plates to plate my food. So I got a bunch of because I don't want to set up 8 because I don't, you know, when I have people at my house, we do disposable. I know, I'm sorry. I'm not helping the earth, but I just don't want a bunch, you know, like the China. I got rid of all that. I don't want to start that again. All right. So we ready to put our meatballs and marinara on top of our pasta. Okay. Yeah, you want a little caramelization on that. Okay, my water is almost done. And then the fettuccine is gonna cook really, really fast. And usually I like to toss them with a little olive oil, maybe a little bit of pepper, just to kind of loosen things up a little bit. Because when you're cooking pasta also, it's always recommended you add a little water to the pasta water, but I'm just gonna put the oil when it's done. Yeah, you got a nice little caramelization on the side, and so just keep moving them around. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm gonna turn the heat off with the pasta, with the marinara. Okay. All righty. Any other question, guys, that you have? A hairnet. Yeah, I could use a hairnet. I made chicken meatballs today. Good. I bet they were yummy. Please turn off the fan. I did. Can you drink the water? Yes. I am almost done with dinner. Oh, good, 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 good. You know, I'm trying to think this week if I had cooked anything. I don't think I cooked this week. I kept eating little things that was in here. So I went to the store. So now I have the balls and the fettuccine, which I'm just gonna use one pack because I just don't want to eat the rest of it, and that way I don't feel too guilty, and it's not gonna make me swell up, because when I swell up, it's like my face and my tummy. As you get older, all kinds of things happen. It's just crazy. The thing to remember about these balls is that the more, if you put any more oil on there, you're just gonna suck it all up. So you gotta have to watch it and not add too much oil. But, yum, yum. So what should we cook next week, you guys? I know we talked about the cornbread with some vegetable chili. We can do that. The only protein I'm willing to cook in my kitchen is fish. No chicken, no beef. But I still have some corvina here. I was thinking of maybe making a curry or some kind of soup, because a lot of you guys are in places where it's starting to get cool. You have my recipe for the split peas with the squash and the broccoli. That's a hearty soup that you can have. And then I want to make French onion soup one day, and we can buy a loaf of the French bread. Well, they say it's French bread, so we have a lot of bakeries here in Panama because the bread is king. Okay, we eat a lot of bread. All right, I think I'm gonna move this water over here so it will cook faster. We have had a lot of rain in Panama this year, which is very different from last year. Last year was super, super dry. And come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Actually, I didn't time something real good because I shouldn't have to wait. All right. Oh, it's 6. So we're just going to do 2 of these, okay? I'm going to use this. You know what I watch a lot? I watch a lot of Asian cooking shows where they're making these, the noodles. It's art. That's another thing. If I go to China, I want to do a food tour and watch them make it. I want to learn how to make dumplings, you know, the way they form it. It's really cute. And the tea. In Peru, you know, Peru is like a culinary capital. I think I mentioned that before. Last year, one restaurant in Peru was named the best. They got the award for the best restaurant in the world. And I read this chef's history. But Peru is big on ceviche. They eat a lot of meat. They don't eat as much rice as we do here in Panama, which was really odd. They eat a lot of potatoes, and there is a heavy Chinese influence in Peru. So there's a lot of fried rice. There is a dish, I forgot what they say it in Spanish. It's like a pepper steak. So I'm looking forward to that. They have a chicha. Here we call fruit juices chicha. They have the chicha they make with chicha morena, like a brown kind of drink. I forgot what they say they put in it, but I have to be careful because I have to be, they warn you about the water. That here we can have the water, but not so much in places like Mexico and Peru. So I'm going to stay away from the chicha. So if it's not cooked like ceviche, I'm like, I'm not big on ceviche anyway. So, but I'm looking forward to tasting the food. And this guy, what's his name? Weenan or Win. This is an Asian guy. He goes around and he tastes everybody's food. And he had an experience going into a remote village where they showed him how they cook. Oh, they eat small little guinea pigs. I'm not doing that. But I am going to try the pepper steak at least once. The fried rice. They eat a lot of potatoes. I'm going to have a little bit because I don't eat too much potatoes. Chicken. They eat some chicken, but not as much as Panamanians here. Here, arroz and chicken, king. A lot of it here. We eat a lot of arroz con pollo. But they raise those little animals and then they fry, they grill them, and I'm like, I can't eat that. All right. So I am going to drain the water. Machu Picchu, here I come. Woo. I still haven't booked my tour yet. It's kind of a process to get to Machu Picchu. You have to get into Lima, you have to fly into Cusco, then it's like 2 trains to get to Aguascaliente, which is at the foot of the hill where you're gonna go see that mountain there. And then the other day they had a bus that kind of fell off, not a cliff per se, but yeah, people got injured in Machu Picchu. I'm like, but I remember when I went to Chile, and then I took a bus to go north. And of course you go into the Andes Mountains. It's like round and round. Even on the plane was trying to avoid the mountains. And I'm like, oh my God. But we went. you know, we made it to La Serena, which is in the north of Chile. And then the next week, there was a bus that fell off the cliff and killed a bunch of people. I'm like, oh my God. So when you see those types of accidents, you know, and that's why I tell people, even here, if you get involved in I'm gonna just put a little bit of olive oil in my pasta just to give it like a little shine. And you get into an accident here, chances are, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen. All right, you see the pasta, how glistening it is? That's because when your pasta is cooked, just add a little bit of olive oil to it. It just adds a certain je ne sais quoi to it, okay? So we're gonna just sit it in the middle of this plate. Ooh, it looks so pretty. Now, because of what I said about your veggie balls, and you don't want to let them cook in the sauce. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take a few of the balls and then we're gonna put the sauce. That way they don't fall apart. Okay? So now I'm gonna put the sauce. Because you do want your balls to be covered by the sauce, right? Well, it sounded weird. Okay. So now we're gonna put our balls. And then we're gonna top it off with maybe some basil. There we go. And then we can just add a twig of basil to decorate. Oh, I don't think I did the patty, but you guys get the idea of the patty, right? Oh, the basil is so pretty. So pretty, so pretty. Pretty, so pretty. You're always gonna see your chefs do that. Gotta clean your plate. Fettuccine with veggie balls. Here it is. Okay. So how was that, guys? Did you enjoy it? From scratch, everything from scratch. So here I'm just going to just cook the 3 patties that we have. But you guys don't have to stay for that because you know it's just gonna be a little bit of oil and those are your burger patties, okay? I know, doesn't that look great? It looks beautiful. Now I could be coming like this, like a waitress, you know, and then I would say usually queso, you want some cheese, except that we're not doing cheese, okay? We are whole food plant-based. I have no idea when that thing beeps like that, Don't ask me what it is. I have no clue. But anyway, dig, what is it? Oh, taste? Of course. Of course. Oh, I gotta take a picture first with yeah, I gotta take a picture to post on my page before I eat it. So this is just for our burgers. Well, not burgers, but our patties. One patty is a little smaller, but 3 patties cooking. All right, guys, thank you for hanging with me. It was a long one today. It looks wonderful, but it's gonna be good because I know what's in it and I cooked it. All right, so give it a try. You don't have to stick to regular meatballs. So next week, I'm thinking I'll make vegetable chili, multi-bean chili, where you put white, kidney, and black beans, and all the veggies, no cheese, and then we're gonna make a cornbread on the side, jalapeno cornbread. Yum. The original recipe had bacon and cheese, but we're gonna bypass that. We don't want to put that stuff in our bodies anymore. All right. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys hung in there with me. Yes. Cooking and chatting with Maggie. So I'm gonna go check my my subscriber count and see where we are. Usually we do a live with every 1,000 subscribers. But you know what? The last video I did about dessert, yes, healthy desserts. So we can make the coconut balls. We make it with oats and dark chocolate and nuts. And you bind it with dates and coconut milk. We can do that. Because anything that involves white flour, white sugar, I can't do it because it's not good for me, it's not good for you. If it's not good for me, it's not good for you. And this is where I'm different, because if I don't eat something, I'm not gonna, you know, tell people to do it because I know it's not good for me, then it's not good for you. And remember, we are seasoned ladies. We got to protect ourselves. We got to stay healthy. And nutrition, movement, and the mental part. We talked about a little bit about getting your mind straight, forgiveness, releasing. That's important, right? And then I think I posted something on the Facebook page. This woman is in her 70s. And she's looking for purpose, right? Because we all want to say, what is our legacy going to be? I'm not worried so much about what people are going to say about me when I'm dead. When I'm dead, I'm dead. I don't care. I just need to see what I can do to make a difference in people's lives. And I feel like talking to you like this, I'm making a difference. With the Facebook page, with the YouTube channel, I feel like I'm making a difference. And I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to be a missionary in, you know, whatever. You can do good wherever you are, right? As long as you're touching people's lives. But what I was going to say is that the last video I did, I interviewed this woman from Kenya, and I thought people would love it, but it's a bust. People are not watching it. Mr. Algorithm doesn't like it. So that's that. But I'm getting a lot of questions about the previous video that was about being monetized at my age. And I think there is a need for people who are older, who are interested in starting a YouTube channel. So I am planning on doing a live this Wednesday. People who had a channel, it's not growing, and they want to know what to do. And I feel like there's a need for that. So whether I do a separate channel about that later on, I don't know. But I think I can start with a live, engage the interest there. So people are sending me saying, you know, I'm 70. I want to start a YouTube channel. Or I did it and nothing's happening. So I am not an expert. I always tell you guys, I'm not an expert. I just like to share what I've done, if something has worked, and that's all. Say the burgers are whoo, yum yum, good. I have an avocado, it's not good yet, so these I'm going to freeze them and save them. So you know, with this stuff here, I have enough food for a whole week. I don't need to cook anything else. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna have my nuts and my fruits and maybe a smoothie here and there, okay? Yeah, this tea, when I put that cinnamon stick in there, that's like sugar. I don't need sugar. All right, guys. So this is it for me today. Thank you for hanging with me. Any other questions? Beautiful dish. Thank you. Where did you move to? I'm in Panama, the country of Panama. Looks tasty. Thank you so much. And tea. Yes, I'm drinking. It's green tea with cinnamon, fresh ginger, mint, and lime juice. Can I get to know you better? You getting to know me through this now, right? Is that good enough? See you next week. Can you make a healthy cookie? Oh, now listen. Cookies are not my forte. There's a lady in my building who makes the best cookie dough. But of course, it's not healthy. But I bought it one time and I hurt myself again. So I don't think I can. It hasn't been that long for me to pay penance for eating those cookies. Oh my God. Because you know, cookies are butter. It's like eating a croissant. It's so butter and sugar. I can't do it too often. I can ask her if she can make a healthy cookie. Maybe she'll make the dough and I'll put it in the oven and show you guys. But I do not. I'm not good at making cookies. That is not one thing I can make that is healthy. I mean, we can do a healthy brownie with applesauce. That's an option. So good, the patties. So if you have that and then you eat it with some avocado, you're good. Can't wait to visit. Yeah, Panama. You know what? I tell people the first time I came in 2019 and I just wanted to see the canal and I fell in love. I went back, you know, you saw my story. I went to Africa thinking I was going to retire there, do business there. It didn't work out. Came back and checked out Panama again twice in 2022. It was like, yep, I like it here. And in 2023, I moved when I retired. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much. All right, guys. It's been 2 hours. Oh my God, 2.5 hours. I gotta go. I gotta get off. All right. Bye-bye. See you next week. Vegetable chili and jalapeno cornbread, okay? And then if I find something that's a cookie, I'm not a dessert person per se, but we can do something, okay? All right. Bye. Have a great day. God bless. Oops. Yes.